I consider myself, Southeast Alaskaner. I was originally moved up here as a lawyer with the federal government. I was the regional attorney for NOAA here in Alaska, and I worked a lot on marine fishery management and coastal management, marine mammal protection, endangered species, things like that. And so that's what I was doing when I first moved up here, and then I went off and studied for the priesthood and came back. And so I've actually, been here in Southeast Alaska now since '94.
Okay. Wow. So why the switch?
It's a long story, but I was, I got I was working at the federal building. I lived over here in the Mendenhall Apartments. I was single. I had gotten active in the Cathedral Parish down here, just a block from where I lived. Bishop Kenny, very charismatic guy, was the bishop at the time. Basically, it was a gradual process. And I finally decided that unless I tried it, I would always wonder whether I should have. So I gave it a try, and it worked out.
Yeah. So was that the last time that you lived here? It was just around the corner?
No, I mean that was back in the '80s. Yeah. So no, I actually was pastor out at St. Paul's Parish for 8 years, and right after I was ordained, I was administrator out there after they lost their pastor. So I've been here in Juneau for some years as a priest. And I also spent 2 years in Petersburg as pastor there. And then this is my second time in Ketchikan. I was there for 8 years, and then I've been back there now for two years.
Yeah. Is that a transition that a lot of priests make, or a lot of people make?
It is, more and more. Back in the 40s and 50s, it was kind of the norm for a boy to leave 8th grade and go to a high school seminary. And basically, the plan was that he would start there, and then he'd go through high school in this very cloistered environment, and then to college, and then to study theology, and then become a priest. And there were many, many great priests, including a lot of those who influenced me, who went through that program. But there were a lot of problems with it too, especially when you're talking about a profession in which you're called to make a commitment of celibacy, not to have had any experience outside of a sort of a monastic setting since you reached puberty is probably not the best preparation for making a good decision or for serving people later on, who are involved in marital situations. So gradually that's changed to a system in which normally there's some preference for a guy who's finished college at least, and maybe even had some experience working in the secular world. Then, for him to take a year, they usually call it pre-theology, in which he takes a lot of the philosophy courses and some language courses that generally a college graduate here in the U.S. wouldn't have had, and then does 3 or 4 years of theology, maybe a pastoral year, and then is ordained. So that probably right now the average seminarian age is somewhere in the 30s, which is quite a bit different. I'd say that probably most priests, most seminarians now have some experience in the secular world. Yeah, for me it was a very long time. I was ordained when I was 41. But it's not all that unusual. And in fact, one of the interesting stories that I've read recently is that it's hard because of student loan debt for many young people to go into the seminary or a convent or a religious order until they get their student loans paid down. So there are various efforts in the church going on to try to help them with that.
Wow. Do you find that it helps you to have that kind of background?
It does, yes. It is something that I think made me more comfortable with handling difficult situations. When I was practicing law, most of it was counseling in addition to drafting regulations, and so that was very helpful. And having to speak a lot in public, I think helped quite a bit. And then, like many lawyers who become priests, I was asked to get a degree in canon law, when I finished studying theology. And so that's why I have the responsibility for these church tribunals. And it's also probably the biggest reason that I have this particular job as a diocesan administrator, is because it helps to know canon law, when you're dealing with an interim situation like this.
Right, right. Yeah, is there anything else that
I don't think so, it's just, so far, I've just been very blessed with the people that are collaborating with me on this, it's, so far it's been a rewarding experience, but I am looking forward to the arrival of the new bishop, to get back to normal life.
Right.